Welcome to episode 1 of Strathearn Stories podcast. Today in the studio, we have Stephen and Fiona Leckie from the Crieff Hydro group of hotels. Stephen, Fiona, thank you very much for coming into our wee studio to talk about your Strathearn story.
Well, Ian, I was born in Perth in 1965 on April the 2nd, the day after my dear wife Fiona was born. She was born April the 1st,
Wow.
1965. So I was born in Perth, brought to Crieff the next day, and that's about it, really. My friends say I get a nosebleed when I leave Crieff, and they'd be right. I love being in Crieff.
Yeah.
So in our first few years of marriage, where we had 2 of our children, we lived in Wareside, Ware, Hertfordshire. So the first 2 children were born in Welwyn Garden City.
Right.
And then we moved back to Crieff in January 1994, the 8th of January 1994, and have not looked back. We moved into Easterley in Crieff that year, and we just love living and working and being around Crieff and Strathearn. It's a big part of our life. Crieff Hydro is a big part of our life. The Murray Park Hotel, a big part of our life. We have lots of friends and associates and chums and buddies that we meet and see around the county. So yes, staying in Crieff is a big thing for us. Would we move? No, we have hotels in Peebles and West Coast, and when we go to these hotels, people say, "Oh, do you live here?" Well, we'd love to live in Peebles or Ballyhoolish or Glencoe. We could and would, but we prefer living in Crieff, in Strathearn, in Perthshire. It just suits us well. It's central. It's an easy place to get to Edinburgh Airport, Glasgow. It's a central place in Scotland, which is why so many customers like coming to Crieff. And Crieff Hydro was built, as they said then, on account of, in the old-fashioned words, on account of the weather. It's often nicer weather in Crieff than it is as you head towards West Coast. The rain precipitates over the mountains. So Crieff weather is often nice in Crieff in summertime, and you go out to Lough Erne where it's just a bit colder, a bit cooler. There's more midges in Lough Erne, there's less midges in Crieff.
There is, yep.
What else about Crieff? The scenery. They chose Crieff Hydro in 1865, 1866 as they designed and planned building Crieff Hydro on account of the weather, the scenery, the climate, the location, and the ease with which you can get to Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, but also the water in Crieff. The Glen Turret. Now, the Glen Turret whisky supplies Crieff, the Glen Turret Dam, and the same seam of water that supplies Hannon Spring water. So we have drilled in Crieff Hydro 5, 6 different boreholes, and maybe 2 of them work. So it supplies the bulk of Crieff Hydro's water to our guests now, guests and staff, the same water that supplies Crieff.
Wow. So the hydro is water. I obviously worked there for a few years, and I know a little bit about hydro, mainly Dr. Meikle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond that. It goes back a few years, does it?
Well, the hydropathic, Greek word for water. So the motto originally in Crieff Hydro, one of the first original hydropathic establishments around Scotland, and became 10, 20, 30 odd hydros around Scotland around that time, but Crieff Hydro was one of the first, if not the first. And the motto for Crieff Hydro then was "Water is best." And the then ministers who came in their hordes to stay at Crieff Hydro, they would say then water is best if taken in the right spirit, which I thought was quite a clever move. And then, of course, no bar, Ian. So we put the first bar into Crieff Hydro. It was November the 8th, 1994. I recall that day very well. I was aged 28 years old at the time. And the number of old folk and ministers who were prodding me in the chest physically outside my office. You were there at the time, working in Crieff Hydro at the time. They prodded me in the chest. "Are you young Leckie?" Not a chance to answer. "You're going to ruin this place. You're going to ruin the ethos, the atmosphere. The very reason we come here is there's no bar. Well, if young folk like you swilling pints of beer in the ballroom, you're going to ruin everything." Well, that was in the morning. That night, November the 8th, 1994, I've never seen so many ministers and old folk queuing up in the then rooms 8 and 10, became the Highlandman Room bar, still exists today, ordering large whiskies and gins from that bar. I sat there right next to them as they ordered these same drinks that night. And we've never looked back. It's been one of the best things we've done to introduce a licence and a bar into Crieff Hydro. And if my ancestors were to think back, in Peebles, we built a gin school. We make gin in Peebles Hydro. We've now converted the ballroom into the ballroom bar in Crieff Hydro. So they would be mortified now, but it's just the modern way. It's the next generation, the sixth generation idea of how to keep Crieff Hydro going as an independent, privately owned and managed hotel.
But were these people not the people that used to bring in their little bottles of wine with their luggage?
Yes. So the hall porters, Paddy Hopkirk, who was the chap who taught me to play the bagpipes, aged 7 years old, from the old doctor's surgery, and he would sit and smoke his way through the 2 lessons a week that I had.
Right.
And they would all say then, Frank the porter then, they would all say there's more drink brought in than there is luggage. You could hear the clinking and chunking of the glasses and the bottles as they brought them in.
As they brought them in.
Yes.
Yeah,
So during the dancing interval, when the dancing interval was then 9:30, they would all disappear. So the ballroom would go completely quiet. Nothing would happen. Charlie Wilson and the band, the Blue Ribboned Band then.
Yes, Charlie Wilson,
the ballroom, yes.
the cobbler.
Yes, that's right.
Gosh.
So the band would go completely quiet. And they'd all be up in the rooms having rooms parties, and you'd hand a ticket out to say, come to room 68 for the drinks party. And then they'd go to a different room for drinks party, and some wouldn't quite make the second half of the dancing because they're still up in the rooms having a good drink. And then, Ian, there was no the public bathrooms, so you'd put a robe on and walk down and have a kind of bath in the communal bathrooms. Yes, a shared bathroom. Yes.
Right.
Yes. So that was all
Not
changed.
the Victorian spa, though.
No.
That was a different thing.
Yes,
this was a communal bathroom.
There wasn't private bathrooms. There was one private bathroom in 1990. So it's changed hugely.
Ensuite.
Ensuite, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So an institution for many folk who have stayed in Crieff Hydro, for many staff who have worked in Crieff Hydro, thousands over the years. But most of all, for us, a huge institution for us. It's a big part of our life to be connected with and have the privilege of being connected to Crieff Hydro. Yeah. And along with that family generational, now 6th generation history continue.
Yeah.
That's our plan.
My family wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the hydro. Mm-hmm. My mother came over from Ireland. My dad came up from Glasgow. And they met there.
Yes.
They went off to live in Lochern Head, and that's where all of my family were born. And then we kind of slowly came back to Crieff. Yes. So your mum was and your dad were a big part of Crieff Hydro.
Yes.
Sadly, your dad died 10 years ago?
2012.
2012.
Yes. So my mother met my father at Crieff Hydro. My mother was interviewed to be the then dining room manager.
Wow.
And she didn't make the first cut. So she wasn't the first choice.
Right.
This is my mother's story, Ian. So my father then made a phone call then. Imagine the old phone calls where you pull the old wires out and plug them in. Made a phone call to my mother and said, you weren't the first choice, but the first choice has declined us.
Right.
So would you like to come along?
Second choice.
Yes. So she did. And she was then 19 years old, aged 19, being the dining room manager was quite a big job for her then.
I bet you.
So they met and they didn't really start dating. My mother went to Spain and caught typhoid disease and nearly died within weeks of meeting my father or being the dining room manager. Anyway, so my father would then go and visit her in Perth in the hospital every day. Right. And that's how the relationship started.
Wow.
And then it blossomed. And then they got married. And my mother was, 21 years old at the time.
Right.
My father would have been mid-20s.
Yeah.
So that was 1960.
Yeah. These are the stories that we want to hear. Your mum, for her age, looks absolutely amazing. And she's maybe retired now, but you still see her in and about the hotel.
Yes.
It's been a huge part of her life, of course,
yes,
since she was 21.
Yes.
And when they first got married, they had their beautiful house built for them.
Right.
So she's been in the house that she's in now for
all these years.
Years.
Wow. Never moved.
And of course, she's been brought up on Crieff water from the hydro spring, the same as us all who have lived in Crieff all these years. And she was also, as we were brought up on the Crieff milk. So it was then unpasteurised. It would be delivered at 5 o'clock in the morning in the old enamel urns with the cream.
At the top.
Yes, and the cream would be 3 or 4 inches at the top.
Right.
And unpasteurised, and we all survived all that.
Wow.
So
Crieff's obviously big on water.
Yes.
And milk.
Yes.
Maybe that's the reason why your mum...
Yes. Glen Turret whiskey, the oldest working distillery in Scotland, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's 3 good things, 3 good recipes for a good long life.
Comes out of Crieff.
But it's the air as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Everybody speaks about the air. When we came up, when we were living down south, and we had 2 children at the time. We couldn't get over how they slept coming to Crieff.
Right.
And we put it down to the fresh air.
Right.
We
Yes.
were in Hertfordshire.
Right.
So it was just, and lots of people still say that.
So at what point did you decide to come to Crieff as a family? And you know, I remember you coming to Crieff and you were, you know, you're kind of following your dad's footsteps, I think, is the way to put it. You got a hospitality background. You done your...
Yes, I went down south to learn the trade.
Yep.
Ian, so we got married in September 1990, and Fiona had to give up a very good job in marketing, in the Edinburgh
insurance company.
Yep.
And then Fiona then moved to Nottingham. So we went away on our honeymoon to Mauritius. We had a great time. Came back, and the Queen's Motors, the then hotel company, called me on the Friday. Fiona having moved from Edinburgh to Nottingham to live in a grotty flat and find a new job. She just found a new job that day. I then got a phone call from head office, and they said they would like me to move to Edinburgh on the Monday to take over a hotel.
Wow.
So poor Fiona, the first 3 months of marriage, she spent living on her own in a grotty flat in Nottingham.
Then joined Stephen back up in Edinburgh.
Yes.
Right. How did you meet
Fiona?
Well, my family used to come to Crieff Hydro for our summer holiday in July or August. We weren't the only ones that came for 2 weeks. Everybody came for 2 weeks in.
Right.
And you came year after year and you met the same people that you'd met the year before.
Yeah.
Which made the holiday, really. And I'd been coming away with my parents for seven or 8 years before I truly met Stephen. But Stephen really taught me how to water ski at Loch Earn.
Right.
So you were working, I think, up in St Andrews at the time, but you were heavily involved in the hydro too. And then he would scrub up well in the evening. He'd have his dinner suit on in the evening, and we'd do the ceilidh dancing.
Right. Entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was studying in Edinburgh when we started to go out with each other, and I was living in Edinburgh at the time, which made it slightly easier.
Yeah.
So I suppose I've got my parents to thank for bringing me up to Crieff. But there are lots and lots of people now that we know of that have met at Crieff Hydro.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love my time at Crieff Hydro. I really enjoyed my job. Met a lot of people. Learned a little bit, well, I'm going to say learned a little bit about business. I learned a lot about business at Crieff Hydro, especially on the wedding side of things. We used to put prices up in bank holidays and stuff like that.
Yes.
So children came along, 2 girls, 2 boys.
Yes,
They're now part of the business.
2 of which were born down south and the other 2 up here.
Up here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
a
big part of the business now, aren't they?
Yes, the 4 of them are, which we're very grateful for.
Yeah.
I suppose they decided maybe a couple of years ago that they were committing themselves to the business. So at least we had a plan that there was going to be the 6th generation taking the business forward.
Taking the business over.
And they have big different ideas to our old ideas, really.
Yeah.
I suppose it was definitely the boys' idea to introduce this new bar.
And it's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. In your opinion, has it worked?
Absolutely. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
It's actually worked for both our hotel customers, but also local customers too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've probably been in the hydro more since the bar was built than I would have been if it hadn't been.
There wasn't really a bar to sit at or go to beforehand, so this has actually filled a huge gap for us as well. So
I think when we met earlier on, Stephen, we were talking about, you know, being a hotelier in this day and age is definitely it's not easy. Being in business is not easy. Everybody's trying to keep their head over the water. You've managed. COVID came along. That done a lot of damage to people in the hospitality industry. You're out of that now.
Well, COVID was an interesting time, Ian. So from March the 20th, that first weekend, we had to close down. We had a wedding booked in the next day, which we felt duty-bound to honour. So we did honour that wedding the next day, and then we had to shut the business down. And that was a real worry. We thought we were going to lose lots of millions of pounds. So we had to cut deep with staff people. That was tough for us. That was no fun, having to shut their careers down. We had then in Crieff 240 staff living in Crieff, the bulk of whom said, when we said, look, you need to go home because we don't know how long you're going to be shut down for, they said, this is our home. So they stayed. But they couldn't come inside the building. So we had to feed them through the front door and hand them out plastic cartons of food. And they had nothing else. That was their life and ours. So Crieff Hydro became our home for the periods of the lockdown.
Yep.
So we had to cut the grass, trim the hedges, cook the staff food, clean things, paint things, figure things out, work the heating out, the Wi-Fi system out. We still had to run Wi-Fi for communication with all sorts of people. We played the bagpipes every week during lockdown with the family, and drums. We pixie playing the drums. So, and we enjoyed Crieff Hydro being our home, and the staff that lived on the estate or were allowed inside the business. And when we reopened it, it was quite kind of an imposition to have customers back in our home again, having lived, in Crieff Hydro for a number of months. And the boys stayed in self-catering for security because we had some trouble with folk kind of wandering around in places they shouldn't have done. And it was my desire, my ambition to ride a motorbike through Crieff Hydro all my life, and managed, Ian, to do that during COVID. And we did set the fire alarms off, and we had to say to the duty manager, what you're about to see, please, you're trying to delete from your mind. But we had a great time doing that, just having fun, enjoying living. We found an old derelict, decommissioned, disused shed where the original water pump used to be.
Right.
It was decommissioned then 20 years ago, it's 25 years ago now. So, and the inside, we opened it up and we found there was a heater on inside the shed. So it had been decommissioned, but the power was still left on to this heater. This heater was heating nothing for 20 years. And I worked out the electricity bill and the old prices, before the price went up in electricity recently, £18,000 to heat that shed for 20-odd years. So I've now framed that heater and stuck it up on a wall with a little note about the relevance of how COVID taught us lots of things, but one of them was to find out exactly. We also discovered we're losing 10,000 litres of water a day. Where's that going? Well, it's through the gents' urinals. So we switched all them off.
Right.
Our electricity bill per day before lockdown was £9,000 or £10,000 a day. And we managed to reduce that during lockdown to £300 a day. Now, it's still quite a lot. There's still quite a lot of energy to burn, 300, but we managed to reduce it just by switching everything we could find off. So the whole family and the management team and those who are living in the business, just every day we're just doing something to roll our sleeves up and figure out more about the business, the boilers and the central heating system and the hot water system and the leaks and the taps and the water supply, all these different things that you wouldn't ordinarily have got a chance to really dig in about.
Yeah.
And it's also the time that the boys in particular said they then would agree to, and I didn't ask them, it was their choice to commit the rest of their lives to the company, to the family business, and stay devoted to Crieff and the 6 hotels that we own and 2 hotels that we manage. So that was actually from a family point of view, a generational point of view, that was a pivotal moment in securing the 6th generation of family to work in the business.
Massive commitment.
Yes.
And the boys and the girls, they're all got, good roles. They've all been to university and done their bit.
Yes. So they've all been to university in some form and done something, or college, and they've all worked somewhere else in the industry, but they now all work back in the family business. And that's a big thing for us, to move from, they say, from clogs to clogs in 3 generations. We're now at generation 6. That's quite a kind of a thing to, because if they chose not to follow on the generational aspect, we're both 60 now, 61 this year. What happens then to the 5th generation family business? Yep. And I think it'd be a travesty to even consider selling it.
Yes.
What do you say to all the good staff who work in the business? The good news is we've sold. The bad news is, well, good luck with your new bosses. We couldn't do that to our people and to Crieff, and we'd still
live in Crieff.
Yes. We'd have to move away, and that would be a pity. So, we're determined we're going to keep going and making a good go of the company, of which the main part of it is, the biggest part is Crieff Hydro.
Some point in the future, we'll get the family in, and we'll find out what their plans are going forward.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Stephen, tell us a bit about the book. There's a book, you've had a book published, the Crieff Hydro book.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about
that? The book was originally written many decades ago, and it's been rewritten and updated twice. The most recent 26 years ago. So we need to update it again,
right,
to reflect all the kind of modern stuff. But one of the nice things I like about the book is it reflects on Crieff and the relevance of Crieff and why Crieff Hydro was built in Crieff by my great-great-granduncle, who was a doctor in Aberdeen, who selected Crieff for a whole lot of great reasons. And this is a quote from the Strathearn Herald in 1866. "The habitable globe possesses no more delightful spot than Crieff." That was written then, 160-odd years ago. And here's another great quote. "Yet the people are shrewd and have borne themselves well in peace and war." Isn't that a great reflection on how tough Crieff is and what a great place to live?
Yeah, I mean, Crieff, you said earlier on, you just couldn't leave. I'm pretty much the same. I would never leave Crieff. And it's a wonderful place to stay. It really is. It's, easy access to Edinburgh, Glasgow, even Aberdeen, places like that. So I definitely wouldn't be moving.
Yes, yes.
It's very central.
Yeah, some of our family have moved, but yeah, no, I'm here for keeps.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you, like me, Ian, would get a nosebleed if you had to leave Crieff.
Probably.
Unless you were going to Edinburgh.
Well, but Fiona, you play a big role in Hydro as well, because all the design stuff, the nice furniture that you see when you walk through the door, the nice curtains that are hanging up there.
I do thoroughly enjoy doing all that, and I learned a huge amount when I worked with Janet, Stephen's mother, all these years ago, because that's what Janet did. But I suppose as time has progressed, there's so much choice and variations on fabrics, carpets, interiors now than there ever was. When I first took over from Janet, I think just about every bedroom was magnolia, and the wallpapers were magnolia and the carpets were pink, or curtains floral. But times have changed, and these sort of things sometimes come back, these phases come back.
Yep.
But I think it's a bit more complicated now. You've got, with all the health and safety and all the rules that you've got to comply with, it does make it a bit harder. But I thoroughly enjoyed and learned so much from Janet.
So where do you see the Hydro in 25 years? Because it has changed. It's changed since I left 25 years ago. There was, I think you said that on when you done the new opening or the relaunch.
Yes.
That the people that were coming 10 years ago are looking for something totally different now.
Yes. Well, if then I was 28 years old, Ian, and we then had 2 children, now 4. So then if I was very ambitious, still am. So my view is we are trustees passing through this generation of Crieff Hydro management. And so my role has been to make sure that whatever I do, I pass on a bigger, better, more stable company that we're more proud of. And so for me, profit is one thing, but pride is a greater thing than profit. Profit goes back into the business. This is about reinvesting back in to make Crieff Hydro, Murray Park Hotel, the company, the hotels that we own, bigger and better, so that we can be more proud of all the businesses that we're involved with, and more proud of Crieff Hydro's part in Crieff's history. So for me, in 25 years' time, make Crieff Hydro estate, continue making it bigger and better and more exciting to come and stay and work in.
Got to say, well done. It's obviously not been. It's not all been good. We talked about COVID and stuff like that. You've taken risks as a businessman.
Yes,
you've taken risks.
Yes, we had.
Would you change anything?
When I first came to the company, we had money in the bank. Now we owe the bank lots of millions, and the concept of that is, well, you can think you can do better by borrowing money from the bank and paying it off, and you can get the building business to a better position. So that's what we've done. We've borrowed money for the first time in, since the Hydro was built. We've borrowed money to do better, to reinvest back into being more proud about our product for our customers and for our people.
Stephen, I heard a little rumour about something to do with reservations you want to
enlighten
yes. us?
So in the days when we had a call centre, we would take 500 or 600 phone calls a day for reservations, whereas now everyone books online. So we don't have a call centre anymore. That call centre is now used to be the ping pong room, the table tennis room.
Yep.
And so in the many calls, we had one lady call us and she said to us, are you close to the sea? Well, no, we're 50 miles away from the sea. Well, that's nice. Can I have a room with a sea view, please? Difficult.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and they say in Britain, 1 in 500 folk, are not quite right. They're challenged. So so we're getting one phone call a day from people who might have, but folk were lonely and they'd call us and just chat, and it becomes difficult for the call centre folk to when they have to, they can see the lights all lighting up on their switchboard. They know they have to get to the other calls, but you get these folk who just want to chat.
Yes.
So we're very happy to do it. So that's one of the downsides of the modern internet way. There's no chat with people anymore. Many of our team work from home, and I think that's a travesty. I think it's nice to be, people are pack animals. They want to be together. Yeah. The people of Crieff like to be in Crieff for a reason. We're pack animals.
But you definitely don't have a sea view. Great. Okay. So retirement just kind of looming round the corner. You're big in your cars, your hobbies. Do you intend buying more buses and more cars?
Yes. People say, which is your favourite car? It's the next one.
It's the next one.
Yes. Right. So I do it's a big time off theme, decompression zone. Me, my cars, vintage and classic cars. So the oldest car is a 1926 Rolls Royce. And the reason for buying that was because I think one of my ancestors, my great-great-grand uncle, then had the first motor car in Crieff. And I think it was a Rolls Royce. So that's why we bought the 1926 Rolls Royce. And this week, it's 100 years old this month. And we took out today a lady who's staying in Crieff Hydro, and she's been coming for a birthday in Crieff Hydro for 25 years. She's 100 today, and so we took her out for a drive in the Rolls Royce, the 100-year-old Rolls Royce.
Wow!
So there's a connection. So if we're part of kind of the history of Crieff and Scotland and the Crieff Hydropathic of old, then the cars are a big part of that. And so there's so many classic car clubs use the company Peebles, Crieff and West Coast for their annual event, their annual gathering. And I just love these classic cars, like playing the bagpipes, like eating shortbread, drinking whiskey, wearing tweed suits and tartan. It's part of the heritage and history of our country. So that's part of the reason why I like looking after these old vintage and classic cars. So that's a big thing for me. In retirement, Ian, we're 60. Our normal retirement age is 67, so 7 more years. But I shall be Lord Lieutenant, which is a huge honour for me until I'm 75 years old. So I have 15 years in my head of working, assuming I'm able, of working for the King and Queen.
Yep.
So that is a big part of what I wish to do the next 15 years, and Fiona's a big part of that. So we shall remain in Crieff. In Strathearn, we have the Earl and Countess of Strathearn in Prince William and Catherine.
Yep.
The Earl and Countess of Strathearn. So we hope to welcome them back to Strathearn at some point in the future, and that's a big focus for the lieutenancy to help the good people of Perth and Kinross live in the area and enjoy living in the area, work in the area and enjoy working in the area and visiting the area. So that's a big part of the lieutenancy in my mind.
Cool. Fiona, obviously you've got hobbies. What do you like doing in your spare time?
I do still love playing tennis, which I play tennis quite regularly. I'd like to continue playing that, especially if it's doubles. You can play, you've always got somebody else to play with.
Yeah.
And you're not running around the tennis court yourself, so you can play that until you're 80, I think, if you're fit and able. So I'd love to be able to see myself doing that. We both still ski, which we've just come back from a few days away in Morzine. I love the garden as well. I'd like to get a greenhouse. Never had a greenhouse. I quite like to get a greenhouse.
Right.
You can't keep an empty greenhouse. So at the moment, I think it would stay empty because I don't have time for it. But I'd love a greenhouse. And I think I'd really love to travel more with Stephen. Stephen and I haven't travelled a huge amount in our lives. We've both committed ourselves to family and the hotel.
Yeah.
And I think it was just down to money at the time. But now that we're reaching retirement, I think we will have more time and we're more funds available to be able to travel and see lots of the world.
Yeah, I know that feeling. One of the nice when to start doing that. We're going to do a bit of travelling now.
Yes.
So yes, enjoy your retirement when it comes.
Thank you.
A few years to go. And I've got to say thank you very much for being the very first people to come on to Strathearn Stories and open up about your personal life and what you do and what you bring to Crieff and what you give back to Crieff as well. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.